Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 8th day of July 2020. It's Wednesday, the middle of the week. I need to get my notes up here. Oh, there they are. Okay, they're already up. I just needed to open up the iPad. Anyway, I just did esoteric influences for the umpteenth time. I think I did it like 8 times. I don't know what's going on with me. I didn't sleep very well last night, I guess, and forgot to do my crone tincture before I went to bed. And so I woke up a lot. And then the roosters started crowing in the 5 o'clock hour this morning. So I don't know. I managed to stay in bed till a little after 6, but after that, they just wouldn't stop. You know, they know where we are, and they crow right by the window. And then once they know that we're up and walking around, the two roosters will go, they'll get up on the back deck and they'll go up to the back door, to the sliding glass door, and they'll stand there and crow. You know, they were supposed to all be girls. We got new chickens this year. Every few years, really, you ought to replace them. And either you do that because you go buy them, or you do it because you already have a rooster and you let them have a clutch of eggs, and then there's your new chickens for the year, and you get to add that. So now we've got 29. Well, no, we have 27 laying hens. Well, the new ones are only now starting to lay, but we have these two roosters, and I mean, I have some pictures of them up on Instagram. It's George and Rudy. Rudy is a Rhode Island Red, and George is Lord Brahma. He's a white Brahma, and those are the ones that have feathers on their legs and feet. So that's going to be fun in the snow. We usually have a covered area for them if they want to come out of their hen house, though. So that it should be fine on the girls, but the two of them that we have there. But George is going to have to be in a pen this winter, and so is Rudy probably. And it's going to have to be covered just to protect his feet, because I guess the feathers can freeze, and that's not good. So if they get wet, So I don't know. I used to have a Persian cat. Persian cats have fur on the bottom of their feet. So he would go out in the snow and he'd get all these little snowballs all over him, right? And they'd be on the bottom of his seat, and he'd get out there and he'd hold them up and he'd shake his foot, and he'd eventually put it down, and he'd take another step and hold the other one up. Oh, it was the most funny thing. He was an indoor cat, so he wanted to go out, but I really don't think he was all that particularly prepared for it. So anyway. I loved him, though. He was my familiar. Seriously. But anyway, he was a shaded silver Persian. He was given to me by a friend who couldn't keep him anymore. He was about 1.5 years when we got him. And he went to college with me, and he moved here, and he had a urinary issue, and he had to have a surgery for that. And he had to have medication the rest of his life. And so he died when he was about 11. So he didn't live a full life, but I don't know that Persians do, being that they're so inbred, that maybe they don't live as long as some cats do. But anyway, he was just wonderful. He was my baby. Anyway, this is your first time here, welcome. I did the esoteric influences earlier. They'll be up on the blog, and it'll, on the left side panel, it'll appear there. And then this video will go right below that, so you'll see them together there. But I just did that, and it's uploading now to YouTube as we speak. And let's see. I can't think of anything I really wanted to share with you guys that was really from that, other than the moon's going to be in Pisces about, in another couple of hours or so, it's going to move there, and from Aquarius. And so things might get a little emotional today, so just be aware of that. It's an 8 energy day, so we're talking leadership and thinking, about benevolence and greater harmony with others, and unification type of leadership. Being able to consider a problem from the perspective of what's best for everybody might not be best for you personally as the leader, But you look upon the situation and you say, you know what, even though this isn't going to personally benefit me or maybe a few other people in this group, I think collectively we need to go in this direction. And everybody's like, yeah, you're right. You're right. You know, and you've put in that time with people. You've established that you're not a dictator in terms of your leadership style, that you really can look at the bigger picture. And so that's really the energy of today. So make that work for you today. But anyway, if this is your first time here, again, welcome. And I talk a little bit and then I shuffle while I do, so that I make sure that I have the most random reading possible for this. I'm going to take the 13th card each time on the 3 cards I'm going to pull. If we need more cards, which usually it's only one, once in a while in all this time, I think twice I've done 5 cards in a reading, but that was just because I needed to. It just occurred to me I needed to know a little bit more about that card, and so I pulled a card to modify that a particular card just to see if it could give us a little more insight, and it did. So, but otherwise, I pull a rune from the Elder Futhark bag, and then I close out with the Geomancy rune. So, and you know what I didn't do? I did not light my candle, so I'm going to do that. I don't think I did yesterday either. So let me do that here. I stopped lighting like 4 or 5 or 6 candles because it was just getting too warm in here, because I keep my door closed when I'm doing this video. Otherwise, my husband comes in and talks to me because he thinks I'm done. And it's like, oh no. Anyway, let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards. I'm going to move this back a little bit so I have a little more room in front of me. And we'll see what we have. Where are my Geomancy runes? Let's get them over here so I know where they are and I'm not scrambling for them. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and use the Rowan runes for today's runes instead of the Hawthorn. I really love my new Rowan runes. I let the branch dry for, oh gosh, I don't know, 6 months maybe. I probably didn't need to wait that long, but I did. And my husband just recently, I handed him the branch and I said, I want this section cut. And so he did. And I have some for both bind runes and also I did a set for just my rune bag. So anyhow, that's what we'll use today is the Rowan runes. And we'll put this one back from the reading, and to not confuse things, because I'll be like, oh, what about that? Let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards and see what we have for today. And I will take the 13th one each time for randomness sake. So here we go. We have the Page of Cups, the Water Element. Sometimes, depending upon the surrounding cards, it could indicate a pregnancy or childbirth. But generally, the pages, I liken the pages to the Fool, similar energy to the Fool and undeveloped potential. Also, the Aces in the minor arcana, I sort of liken it all to that. And just in terms of undeveloped potential, because that's what pages are about. They're about messages, they're about students, and again, potential that's undeveloped yet. They're still learning, basically. So a little bit different than the Fool, but the undeveloped potential part is similar. So. We have the Magician. Card 1 of the Major Arcana. Soul Archetype card. We start with the Fool, we go to the Magician, we go to the High Priestess. The Fool takes the leap. The Magician and the High Priestess provide the alchemy. High Priestess is a little bit different on the alchemy, but same sort of thing. Imbuing us with source presence. The unconscious realm for her. Ooh, the Empress. Maybe we do have a pregnancy. What are we going to birth today? What are we going to manifest today? All right, we're going to put the page in the center. And yes, you can move your cards around, even in a defined spread. You can still do that. Oh, one thing I told everybody on Esoteric Influences, I was supposed to do Tuesday Tarot yesterday, and my day got away from me. Way too much to do. Today, it's not going to be Tuesday Tarot. It's just going to be tarot for Wednesday. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm trying to do one reading a week there, though. Okay. And it's going to be using the Wildwood Tarot, and these are the cards. It's going to be the Forest Lovers, which is the lovers. It's going to be the Wheel and the Six of Arrows, and it's going to be about transitions. That's what the reading's going to be about. So look for that. That is going up today. Come what or high water. So anyway, but let's take a look at this now. With both the Magician and the Empress, we're talking about manifestation. Empress, when we get into form, Magician, manifesting form. Okay? The Page of Cups, on the other hand, again, is about manifestation in a sense, because you're talking about, what are you, in other words, the message you're going to manifest. In other words, the news bearer. So in that regard, they're announcing something new, announcing a new kind of manifestation. You could say that overall, but let's talk about it and see if that's what we actually are going to end up with. And then we're probably going to have to take a fourth card to try to figure out what the manifestation is actually going to be. If it ends up something that's new life oriented, then in fact it could be you could get a message on a personal level today that either you're pregnant or someone that you know is pregnant, or maybe the birth of a child is announced today. Okay, that's somewhat, it could be what this could be, just given what we've got here. But Cups is about emotions. It's about our emotional presence. He's holding a cup in his hand, a golden chalice, a fish is sticking out saying hi. Pages are about students, though. Messages, the undeveloped potential. In terms of the Court card, it also represents youth. If it is a princess instead of a page, sometimes you'll see decks, non-traditional decks that will call the page a princess. You'll see the knight is sometimes called a prince. But you can see the transitions between a more youthful presence, let's say maybe going into college, for example. The knight would be someone who, or the prince would be someone who has finished that, and now they're making their way into the world, so they're more dynamic. And they're, instead of being just concerned with what they're doing in terms of their study or their planning or whatever, if you're pregnant, then you're taking care of yourself and you're awaiting the birth of your child. So you're making good decisions about the foods you eat and the type of emotions you're feeling. You understand that it's no longer about you. It's about the child that's growing within you, the life that's growing within you. And so you start to think about things in a different way. There's a planning aspect to all of it. There's it's the readiness, getting ready, or the readiness aspect of it, right? Readying yourself for the future. Whereas then you go to the Queen, and now you're in the mother phase. And then the King is the father phase. And so you're looking at, in the Court, you're not only looking at different levels of authority, okay, but you're also looking at different age groups. So also different life experience. And so the page is filled with all of that. All of the Court cards are filled with that kind of information. Now, so if we're embarking upon, say this isn't a pregnancy, say we're embarking upon something new, okay? We're starting a new phase of life. That could indicate something we're looking forward to. Typically, if this is about a pregnancy, that you're looking forward to it. Right? Typically, not always, but typically. For the sake of argument, say you planned it and now it's happened and it's like, oh my goodness, we're having a baby, right? In the time of COVID. Oh my goodness. But anyway, it happens, right? It just happens. So you deal with it. It's like, okay, we're going to have another child. Hopefully there'll be a vaccine before they're born. I don't know. Probably not. But anyway, we digress there. I'm sorry. But what we have here today is the birth of something new. All right? We have the Magician, manifestation. As above, so below. He's holding a scroll to the Creator, bringing the Word of God into form. manifesting the word of God into form. You see all the abundance below. You see the lilies, the purity of the lilies. You see the roses. Above them is a table, his work table, and you see all elements represented. You see the pentagram there, the pentacle for earth. You see the cup for the golden chalice there for water. You see the wand right in front there, closest to the reader. That's the fire element. It's our will. And you see the sword in the background there, closest to the magician. And that's our intellect. It's also reason and balance. And so all of those things in balance, he is manifesting something. I suspect it's a new path forward. Whether it's a pregnancy, that's a new path forward, right? You're adding someone to your home. You're adding someone to your life that you're now going to be totally focused on. Everything else surrounds in your life, surrounds that baby, right? Surrounds those kids. That's how it was in my house anyway, here. Our whole life surrounded our children. Everything we did was in service to making them safe and protected and educated and all of that. Our focus was on our kids. Not on us, but our kids. We didn't, in fact, so much so we really didn't have, I mean, it isn't that we didn't have our own things that we did, you know, it's just that uppermost on our minds were those kids. You know, everything that we did was not at the expense of the kids. I guess that's what I'm saying. And so right now we don't have to look at this in terms of a child, but if we're birthing a new path forward, we're doing so in harmony and in benevolence and in peace with one another. Given that we have two major cards, that's why I think that this probably isn't a pregnancy. It's probably this new path we need to birth together in a way that heals and protects and brings peace and harmony and expressions of love. Right? We have the Empress. Look at that beautiful crown she's wearing, a crown of stars. She has her scepter in her right hand. You see the abundance around her. You see Venus on her shield, a shield that's heart-shaped, so it's love. Those are either roses or they're pomegranates, but I think they're roses. I think they're roses on her dress. It's difficult to tell. I wonder if I could tell with my magnifying glass a little bit better. Yeah, I think they're roses. I don't think they're pomegranates. But I love that crown. It's just gorgeous. And it looks like she's wearing pearls around her neck, or it's part of her dress, one of the two. It could be pearls that are sewn into the dress, but look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? She's at peace. You know, they don't show her though as pregnant, I don't think. If she is, you can't see it. In some cards, you will see the Empress is pregnant. And so she's Mother Earth. You know, she's the goddess. So what are we going to manifest here today? Let's take another card and see. Get a little bit more information. I mean, if it ends up it's the news of a pregnancy or something, or that a child's been born, then okay, we'll take it. I mean, we will, but I don't know. This feels stronger than that. It feels bigger, especially given we're on an 8-day. And it's not that a birth of a child can't be this massive event in a family, because of course it is. But I don't know. It feels like we're on the precipice of something different here that's bigger than what a family would be experiencing, that it's collective in nature, given that it's an 8 energy today. In this 22 year, this cosmic builder year. This is profound soul level change right now, and will be through the end of the year. And then we move into a 5 energy for 2021. safety, protection. Again, change. So maybe we manifest what we developed this year into something new, a new path forward, one that's shared purpose, shared direction, all of that, right? Because it sure seems like that's where the readings have been going. Oh, well, the Lovers. Yeah, okay, I know what this is. This is a birth of a new relationship between all of us, because we're talking majors. We're talking 3 majors in this reading. This is soul level, this is community-wide, this is countrywide, this is worldwide. This is social change, all right? Social change, whether it's how we proceed with one another. In other words, when you realize that you've got people that are guiding you and they're duping you, right? You know this, you finally realize what's been done to you. It's real easy then to get together with everybody, isn't it? Because we've all been harmed. And so now all the people that have been harmed get together, right? And look at the people that did the harming and say, oh, no, you won't. You see the energetic dynamic that gets developed. Now, we should have seen it, but we didn't. But then when it was finally too obvious, we couldn't ignore it anymore. And now we are where we are. Might be an uneasy truce in the beginning, but then eventually you realize the necessity of it. Because they tried to divide all of us, didn't they? They tried to emphasize the us versus them experience we were already having, make it worse, and cause nothing but chaos and turmoil between all of us, to the point that now some people don't understand they have to wear a mask when they go out. He did that. This man did that. Now we come back together. We had this yesterday or day before. Might have been Monday. Well, let's look at this card again. We see the sun above, representing source presence, representing the father principle, technically. Earth is the mother principle, but I don't like to think of it in terms of that. It's way too patriarchal. It sees God as father. And personally, if I'm going to attach a gender to any of that, it's the Great Mother. So I don't know. Not the Empress for sure, or the Emperor for certain. But here we have the angel above, blessing the couple. We see an oak tree behind the man, denoting strength, but it's sparse, isn't it? Not much is there. Look at that apple tree, though. Full and abundant. The serpent of knowledge. You see, again, I don't see things the way religious teachings do. I see this as the tree of knowledge was given to the woman because she could handle it, because she was still focused on spirit. And I say that because look at where she's looking. Look at where he's looking. He's looking at her. She's looking at spirit. She's looking at the angel. So she's still considering the message of spirit, of source presence in what she does. She understands that connection between spirit and form. And that's why she was given the tree of knowledge. So tell me who the stronger sex is. Tell me who the stronger gender is. It's not the guy. Because he has trouble without that feminine influence, with either a queen or a wife or some kind of partner that who he'll listen to. If that sense is not developed within him, that nice balance of polarity between the receptive and the projective, if that's not balanced in a way that's proper and appropriate and workable, then we have what we have now. You have a dictator, a sadist, who takes great pleasure in watching people suffer. That's what you have when you have that type of imbalance and that type of polarity. And that's why you see the woman, Eve in this case, with her focus on spirit, but not Adam. Adam doesn't even remember that it's there. So the abundance of spirit is not present in Adam's life. Instead, it's just all Mars energy, sparsely here and there. Because if there was true strength, you would see an abundant oak tree behind him, and you don't. The snake is not the devil. The snake is not Lucifer. The snake is just knowledge. And that whoever was here on planet at the time who was creating us was giving us that knowledge so that we could live, so that we could exist, so that we could grow, so that we could mature. Okay, maybe as slaves, but I don't know. Not everyone did that to us. But instead of the sparsely leafed out oak tree, you have an abundant apple tree with apples all over it. Oh, but oh no, we don't want to learn anything. We don't want to know anything. That's the patriarchy. That's the overlords that want to do this to us and keep us down so that we can't rise up, we can't mature, we can't progress. We can't understand what they're doing to us to oppress us. So then the woman gets a bad rap, and Eve's the one that caused all the trouble. Yeah. No, she didn't. No, the woman is the one that has perpetuated the species. The woman is the one that has perpetuated humanity. It's the guy that doesn't listen. I had a guy tell me one time, he delivered batteries to us, and he's like, he goes, men are simple creatures. Oh, and don't email me about this. Men are simple. I didn't make it up. He did. Men are simple creatures. Because someone had just been in who was nutty. I'm like, what was that? And he's like, men are simple creatures. And then I had a lady who was a retired fourth grade teacher tell me, and here's the thing, I have a degree in psychology and I missed all of this. I don't know. They didn't teach us this. Men are simple creatures and boys listen to the middle. Explained my husband completely. Anyway, they don't hear the beginning of what you're saying. It takes them a minute to get there. Girls are attentive. Like, what? You want me to do what? I'm listening. Boys, little boys, no. And I know because I raised them, and they all do this, right? It takes them a little bit to pay attention to what mom is saying. And then if you don't get it all out right there in the middle, then you lose them. So they've got to, it's why, and see, and then I decided, well, that's why men don't ask for directions, because they aren't going to listen to the beginning. They aren't going to listen to the end. So they're never going to know where they start or where to finish. Oh, they might know what to do in the middle of it. See, my husband would never ask for directions. He'd make me do it. Do like they instinctively know? I don't know. Anyway, don't write me. Not all guys are like this, but it was just interesting. It explained a lot of the people I was doing business with. It explained my husband to a T. And so after that, I started making sure that I didn't say anything really relevant to anything in the beginning of what I was saying to him. I'd focus it in the middle and we'd have no problem. But every time I'd forget to do that, I'd lose him. He'd have no idea what I'm talking about ever. He'd get it all wrong. He would answer in ways. It's like, who were you just talking to? Who were you hearing, right? Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, Sawillo's the rune for today. 16th rune of the Elder Futhark. We're talking as above, so below energy and energy and balance. But it's the will. It's the fire element. But it's the expression of will from a spirit standpoint, not expressing will from the ego. I'm going to draw this so you can see what I mean by this. It being an as above, so below rune. I mean, you can kind of tell because you got something up here and something down here. But when you see the abyss in the center of it, that's the horizontal line of abyss when you're focusing into form, you're going to go down through that abyss line into the world, basically. Into the abyss. But that's the line, right? You can think of it in terms of polarity, where here you have spirit, and here you have form or ego. You can think of it that way energetically. But you see the delineation in the center. And so that's where it becomes one of those as above, so below runes, because really, if you look at it, even though it's kind of skewed, you've got Ken as forward and reversed in this, which is the torch or the light of spirit, the sixth rune of the Elder Futhark. So you're talking higher self energies there, aren't you? So whatever is happening here, it's being guided by a level of will that is from higher self, not the will of ego. In order for the new path to begin, the new emotional resonance to begin, in other words, in order for our harmony to begin, a new shared path to begin, we have to understand that we have to manifest that together. We have to ignore what's going on with the dark forces and the oppressive forces that, I mean, we can just in other words, the federal government and some state governments, not all. I'm so blessed to live in Oregon. Even with the dynamic and polarity over here where I live, where there's less Democrats and more Republicans, even with that, I feel so blessed to live here because we have a state government that, even though it can create log jams, I know we have state Republican legislators that if they don't like where something is going, they just leave, and so they make it impossible to vote. That's how they do it. They don't stay and fight it out. They just abandon their post. That's what they've been doing. I think they're doing it again this year, I heard. They did it last year. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. If you're going to do that, then go home and let's elect someone else. Because we don't need you if you're going to abandon your post. But that's what they're doing, to try to manipulate and control, right? So that's an expression of will that's not spirit-based, obviously. But I still feel really blessed to live here because by and large, we get it right in terms of situations like this. Yes, we blew up a whale on the beach. It beached itself. It died. I don't know. Was it in the 60s they did that? Yeah, 60s or 70s, I think. They blew up a whale. They thought that's how they could get rid of it. I think we've grown since then. I don't know. I hope anyway. But express the will in your life and today and allow this incredible source presence energy, this soul archetype energy of the magician, the lovers, the empress, to come into balance with one another and understand that the only way forward is together. I don't know how, if you don't get on the same page during a pandemic, if you have some people, like a third of the population or a little bit better, not wearing masks, the rest of us doing it, how do you survive if you don't have everybody doing it? I don't know. I mean, if you have just a small, like 1% of the population not doing it, maybe you could deal with it. But that much, what we've got now, that's just nuts. And if you have a mask on, oh, good. Fortuna Major. Oh, that's cool. If you have a mask on and you're a teacher, don't pull it down and cough on a 1-year-old kid. I guess she was a special ed teacher. Jeez. Who does this? Again, people not operating in spirit, I guess. I don't know. Letting ego guide their path. Well, we have Fortuna Major. There's two Fortunas, major and minor. This is major. This is minor. This is baby steps, making progress along the path. This is success. This is major fortune. So, if we get on a shared path together, is that not major fortune? I think so. Or if we don't, we won't have success, maybe? The bottom line is we're having to deal with polarity. We're having to understand the strength of it. You see the mountain between the lovers? It's not that there won't be challenges ahead, there will. But as long as we're on the shared path together, as long as we're aligned with the same goal, the same purpose, and in this case, it's alignment together in our relationships with one another. That's definitely established here by the lovers. We're talking the relationships, new emotional resonance and alignment in our relationships with others, indicating a shared path forward. If we do that, we're successful. We're going to beat the virus. We're going to make better decisions so that we can stay safe and healthy. We need everybody. This business of being cavalier, I mean, it's almost like it's been done to disrupt things so much that we don't know what the final insult's going to be. We're having to pay attention to too many things. You know, parents are completely freaked out because they're going to force their kids to go back to school. Well, no, they're not. You don't have to send them. Pull them out. Just tell them you're homeschooling. Don't send them there. I wouldn't. You can homeschool your kids. Anyone can. Give them what they need. Let them homeschool themselves. It's up to them anyway. Obviously, the little ones, you can do that better with kids in high school or junior high or high school. You can do it. I guess they already know what they need to do, right? They have already been doing it for a few years. Little ones, you're going to have a little more hands-on with them. But, you know, your kids are natural born learners, and pretty soon you're going to find them doing things and learning things. We were up in Bend one day. We had to go, and they were old enough to be home, you know. And we got a phone call that they were playing with a ball and hit the dog in the eye. They informed me they had already called the vet. And they said, Mom, you need to stop by the store, stop by Walden Books. That was the bookstore we always went to. We didn't really have that many here. I think that might have been the only one, really. Go to the books. There wasn't a used one, you know. Go there. We need more books on the eye. We've read everything we can find. We need more information. This was their first year homeschooling. Your kids will amaze you at what they can do and how quickly they learn things. So if homeschooling is in your future, if you're seriously considering it, don't be afraid, really. What's available out there now online for kids to we adopted an unschooling approach. Well, it was a combination unschooling and with the intention of them going to college, which they did, and they graduated. But so there was some stuff that I needed them to know, college-bound stuff. So we did some of that. We used Saxon Math, great math program. We used that. You can get the teacher's books for it, all the the answer books, all of that. You get the teacher's edition. You could even arrange with somebody as a tutor if you wanted to do something like that, especially if you're doing AP stuff, if their kids were in high school age. Mine GED'd at 16, so they could then go to college if they wanted to. If they didn't, then they still homeschooled a bit until they were ready. One went right away, the other didn't. But bottom line is, if they weren't going to work, if they weren't going to continue to stay, vigilant with their studies, they had to go to college. If they argued with me about anything, I threw their butt in college, and that's what I did. They argued with me about doing their math, so the following term they went into college. That was the joke. They would tell everybody, yeah, if you don't do your math in my house, my mom will put you in college. My youngest responded with, he was 16. I'd already GED. They did their GEDs, right? They both did them, right? And so the youngest one, it's like, okay, he decides he wants to go to summer term, right? But summer term is like every day. And so I would have to drive him there because he didn't have his driver's license. Because this is what he said. So, well, if I have to go to college now, then I'm not going to get my driver's license. You're going to have to drive me. That's how he retaliated. So anyway, I had to do that for a while. And then I put my foot down. I says, get your driver's license. You want it. Anyway, which he did. But bottom line, school does not have to look like it does in this country. Education does not have to look that way. And I suspect we all know it. So, there are other options this fall. You know how to send them back. You really don't. You can do something else and it can be much better for them. But on the other hand, some of us can't stay home with their children and homeschool them. I viewed myself as a facilitator, not as a teacher. So I put everything they needed and I guided them as best that I could. I have a degree, from college, so I mean, I have some awareness of how this goes, but I also didn't want to have a traditional approach either. So I made sure they had what they needed. I was there for support. I was there to help them, but I didn't see myself as a teacher. So maybe that might help you. And if you're trying to struggle with this, if you can financially do it, where you don't have to have both people out working, then or maybe you work at different shifts or something, you can do it that way. As long as you got somebody there, that's all you got to do. And there's so much now online with them that they can have to educate them. It's almost like, with the advent of the internet and all of the online classes you can do now, it was almost like it was always headed this way. That our lives will ultimately be restructured in a way that it's more community-based. We're not, maybe we're working from home more, and we have a more cohesive experience in the family than mom and dad being gone all day long to work. The only time they see their kids is on the weekends and at night, and then they're so hammered with homework that you don't see them. It's so stressful on the kids that they meet all these weird expectations. That do they? And then I loved it. After we pulled them out, then it all started being teaching to the test. Really? What about teaching to learn? What about the learning part of it? Do they learn, or do they memorize facts so that the test scores are high and they get more funding? Yeah. So no. We've made our kids be pawns, right? And so maybe part of this new shared experience forward is that we start rethinking and restructuring. If we're going to restructure how the police function here, if we're going to be thinking, and we're going to have to, about healthcare, are we also going to be thinking about how we educate our kids? Because the pandemic is going to force us into that. Just as like it's going to force us to reimagine some other things around here. So I don't know. I think that today's reading really is about that. I think it's about a shared path forward. I think it's about a transition into understanding the greater picture. So that's enough. Anyway, think about it. See what you think. See how it manifests today, or what you can do to manifest this in your life today. And see if you don't sense a pattern here. That we seem to be going in a direction that maybe some of us don't want to go with others, but I think we're going to be there anyway. So it's time to just get right with that and understand your role in it and understand that you're needed in it. Those of you who are struggling with the idea of wearing a mask, drop resistance and put one on. Just put one on. Wash your hands. Wear gloves when you go to the grocery store. Think about someone other than yourself. It's a good feeling when you do, I promise you, to think about someone else, to just do something for somebody, expecting nothing in return. Just practice it by letting someone go ahead of you in the grocery store. 6 feet back, obviously. You see someone with one or two things, say, hey, go ahead of me. I'll wait. Cost you nothing, right? And you feel great when you do it. You made someone else's day a little bit better. And that's a great thing. So, be the Page of Cups. And be kind. Oops. Well, there go candles on the floor. Nothing's broken though. And my keyboard. I'll set it right there to my other computer. I have like 3 right here. I have my Mac laptop, which I love. And I never thought I would ever change to something like that. I've always been a PC person, but you know what? I got one of those and I went, oh my God, it's elegant. And the keyboard is like totally flat and I just love that. Anyway, and then I have a desktop too. So, but I do this on this one. So anyway. Thanks so much for watching and for stopping by. Check out the blog over at imsteppingaside.com. The piece on Medium, I promise, will go up today on this 3-card reading on transitions, which sort of dovetails to this. So I don't know. But check it all out and come back tomorrow. and we'll talk again. And look for esoteric influences to come up tomorrow as well. So, and also all week long. So those get posted on Sunday, so I do those. I start them usually Friday, and hopefully I get them done by Saturday, and then I'll post them on Sunday. So, and if you want, oh, one last thing, if you want, you can actually put this, you can actually sign up for the newsletter, and I'll send you those esoteric influences every week on Sundays. And then you can just have them, and you don't have to go find them on the blog. So anyway, I guess that's it. Thanks so much. We'll talk tomorrow. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Wear a mask, and blessed be.